All right, yogis, so we'll start standing today. So just take a few moments here to, just kind of connect to your body. Some days we do it in down dog or child pose or laying on our back if one of those is kind of calling to you. Just opening meditation. Taking a few deep breaths. Remember, I like to suggest some breathing because it's a great way to become more present, concentrate, self-aware, all these kind of meditative qualities. Just via one simple action, connecting to the breath. Try to notice if you're chest breathing, bring the abdominal breath, the diaphragm breathing. Try to breathe into the back ribs a little bit more as well. So we'll go through a few movements at your own pace, right? You just listen to your body. I'm just gonna guide you, okay? The first one is I'm gonna do that energy work today. It's called the Qigong Shake. Remember, we don't move fast enough in yoga. This is a really nice energy technique. A little bend in the knees, and you just kind of start a little bit of a bounce, okay? You notice my wrists are kind of flopping, my shoulders are moving. Continuing to breathe here, and you're kind of like shaping out the body here. Jumping up and down, nice and smooth. We're trying to go for about a minute here, guys. It's really good for like your lymph. It can be actually a lot. Like say you like just kind of woke up. It can be like almost like make you dizzy, right? So, if you start to feel that way, that's all right. Be easy and even do less, just something like this, right? You don't have to jump. The true Qigong is like a very, very small hop, okay? Next movement here, you guys know it. Let's start to kind of bend the knees and swing the arms. Continuing the breath work. And if I'm feeling good, I can kind of make it a little bit tighter, so I'm engaging my core a little bit more as I turn. Notice I am kind of pivoting on the hips as well to get those rotational qualities of the legs going. Remember, we're just kind of in warm-up mode. It's not supposed to challenge your strength, really. It gets stronger as we go, okay? Turn on the muscles, the body. Next exercise is our squatting. Okay, so you just start to bend your knees, reach your arms forward. Just notice as I come up, I do kind of push the hips forward and pull the arms back. Come on, you know it. We do it pretty much every class. It's something I want you guys to get a lot better at, is that squatting practice. So third movement today is the squat. And at the top, I squeeze the butt, pull the arms back, push the hips forward. Got it? I'm adding a little bouncing or movement down here for extra strength. About a minute or so, yogis. And if you're feeling good, there's jump squats. If you're feeling tired, there's quarter squats. You like barely go down. They're both excellent. And I've tried to express how many different types of squatting you can do. Step 1 foot back, turn your feet out more, step closer together. You can add complex squatting, just something where those legs are really starting to work. Both the hip, ankle, knee joint, all those joints ideally, okay? And these are like 2 forward and back movements. They're called lunges and hinges. Classic, we do them in yoga, right? Sun Salutation A and B. It's the same, it's just I'm kind of breaking them down in a repetitive fitnessy more form, all right? And it's really not fitness, yogis do this as well, but it just tends to be associated with that, okay? Next exercise is a little bit more stretchy. On the inhale, reach up and back. On the exhale, reach for your toes, okay? Inhale up, now you can can do a few flat back here, where you're doing more of like a hinge, and you come up with a flat back more, or you can start to go down, bend the knees, kind of round your spine up, okay? So you're articulating more. As I come up, I can bend the knees and kind of let the arms head hang heavy. I can also add arms behind the back if I want, arms up and over. It's just hinging wake up yogis. It's just exercise 101, but make it yoga. What does that mean? You're combining meditative practices into these body exercises. So you're working more breath and tension here. You're trying to slow down to really feel more, become present. You're remembering your intention, right? The intention might have to change based on how your body's feeling. Nice, Brian. I like that little kind of circling variation there if you're ready. Next exercise, the side bodies. You guys know it. Easier, something like this. I'm pretty tight, did a strong yoga class actually yesterday, so I'm feeling it a little bit. I'd probably stay there, but you know, stronger is this double bind. Waking up our side bodies. You can do feet wide, you can do feet crossed. We go right into our next exercise here, the lunging and that bigger round of twisting, yogis. Hands in front of you. You can reach your arms up. Inhale, left foot back. I slowly twist to the right. Notice it's not my biggest lunge. It's my knees are bent too. Okay. Then I kind of inhale up. Right foot goes back. Twist left. Okay. Inhale. So whatever foot goes back, I twist away from it across the opposite front leg. Got it? Inhale. Turn. Like, see if you can slow down and feel the core like really activated as you turn. Go ahead. This is a really good one for waking up the core because it's that really big path of the twist. It's going to hit all the layers of the abdominals, right? The 4 layers. And, you know, if you're really trying to have like a healthy core, you know, there's a lot of mixed opinions on this stuff. Let's just remember that always. You know, a lot of people always say, relax your transverse abdominis. You know, that's good advice for certain people in certain contexts, especially people who are like workout freaks that work out way too much. You can get like a lot of like dysfunction in the deep muscles because everything is like too tight, just like anything, right? But, you know, telling a bunch of yogis to relax their transverse abdominis all the time when the pelvic floor is weak, the deep line, probably not the best. So we're always trying to pull the belly in until it gets developed, all right? And then you can work on relaxing that a little bit more, especially in specific exercises. So, you know, you're going to hear a lot of different cues, but you know, I'd rather have the core supported and tight, strong, a youthful core, right? Strong and movable, and rather than working on relaxing it too much, all right? Nice job there. An easy exercise. Widen your feet, circle out your hips. Remember, this is closed chain hip circling, right? So it's like we're circling our hips. We are literally going to do like 1 or 2 more standing things, yogis, and we're going to hit the core, all right? So this is the end of our standing warm up here. I just want one of these just to loosen up the hips and the core. One last time. And then we're gonna go into the true transverse abdominal, all right? This is still like not a super strenuous, it's just kind of achy, okay? Arms up, no rush getting here if you're still doing your circling, all right? Pull your belly in so much, now we get subtle. You have to pull your belly in, that's the key, and lift it up. Side body's up, lower back up. And then lift the left knee, continuing to pull the belly in so much. It's like your lower abdomen, yogis, all right? It's gonna be crampy and achy, all right? And then you put the left foot down, keep everything else up, lifting, arms up, belly up, right knee lifts. We're working towards 3 per side here, a long kind of hold in that core, okay? We're gonna pull that belly in. It's transverse abdomen, it's true transverse training. Okay, put that foot down. You can tell we're trying to hover about 15 seconds or so. First leg looks like you're there already. Come on now, you can rest. That's cool. I'd rather have you do it well. Okay, and then you do the second leg again. Pull that belly and lift it up. That's the whole thing you got to remember here. Reach up with those arms. That's going to help transverse too, right? What happens is the upper body gets heavy. You know, there's evidence that go ahead, do your last side. There's evidence that weak transverse abdominis causes prolapsing of the organs. That means they lose shape, form, get stuck together, shift in space in the body. There's evidence that too tight a transverse abdominis does it as well. Man, it's not an easy journey, yogis. All right, looks like a lot of you are done there. Nice job. So I hope you felt like a burning in here. Now I could do a lot of sets of that, but I want to work the transverse abdomen in other ways. We just did a twist. That was one way too, right? Here we go. This is the one-legged hinging. If you want to go big, I'll show options, but sturdier is good here. Left hand down in front of the right foot, left knee up. Okay, you just did it. It's second round of high knees, second round of hinge. This one's a little more sturdy, yogis. Okay, left knee up, left leg backing up. It's the left hand going forward. Now, if you want a little bit more, you know, you could kick, you could warrior 3, even add like a lunge, just to make it a little bit more kind of fun. You can get a lot more creative here, yogis. If you're moving, balancing, going to end ranges on extension and flexion patterns, you're doing what we're trying to get done. So there's many ways to do that. We're not going to do much standing yoga today right after this, so using it as a balance, probably a good idea. Okay, so let's get our warrior 3 one-legged type movement in. You know, it's just the idea like we're really good at holding warrior 3. And that's functional, right? You do have to like bend over in life a lot and hold it, but you also have to bend over and stand back up a lot too. I like to get you guys practicing, sometimes using warrior 3 as a hold, sometimes using it as a movement. And the knee up is a very overlooked exercise as well. Athletes do it every day, right? The high knees, just like holding something like this is fantastic, yogis, and you don't need to be warmed up. It's going to really strengthen your butt, your core, your legs, your ankles. Just doing something like this. Don't overlook it, yogis. This is really good stuff. Let's do our second side. It looks like a lot of you are there. Want a little extra time on this one. You know, it's kind of like a fatiguing first tier into like stronger movement, one-legged, asymmetrical. All right. Right hand toward in front of the left foot. Right knee up. Now, come on, work those muscles in the legs now. Remember, Saturday we did that big kind of vinyasa flow class. Sunday we were kind of really grounded, and we did some strengtheners, but it was stretchy and slow. And now we're getting back to a little bit more. This class, remember, tends to be a little bit more just kind of broken down in pieces. Strategic exercise physiology approach, right? Nice. Yeah, Brian, you can do like half moons here if you're feeling good, revolve moons. Nice.
It's a lot of bending over, right? So it's a lot of range building because there's no extra weight, which means now we're going to kind of start to go for tightening. I do want to do that. Just a few like chaturangas would be next. Basically, forward bend, tension, a plank, and really stretch out the front body. You need that after that stuff, right? Looks like a lot of yous are done. Maybe one or two of yous going. Let's flow on the way down. Let's inhale those arms up. I'm going to keep moving forward, yogis, here for time's sake. All right. Inhale, half lift. High plank, low plank. Adding some extra push-ups is good. Taking that nice first back bend. I'm going to go right for my Cobra 2 today since we're a little more warmed up. Down dog. If it's your first down dog, you know what to do. You move intuitively. If you're feeling a little bit better, maybe a disciplined form of down dog. Just refining it a little bit more. And then, you take a few more breaths in dog, and we're just going to get these done now. Some chaturanga type movements. Inhale, high plank. Real beginner for tight would just be high plank back to dog a few times. You just shift forward to plank. You kind of pause for a brief moment maybe, and then shift those hips back and up to dog. And then you do a few of those. You might add a little shift forward to plank, a push up, back up and dog. And you just break it down in stages, right? You're feeling good. You can add some of those swooping forms. Down in the knees is nice. Extra strength would be holding a low plank or adding push-ups. Come on, yogis, let's get that upper body into weight bearing now. Nice. Oh yeah, I like that too. A little shifting hand push up there. So I do want to start, I want to hold that down dog. Remember, you can do this in tabletop as well. You can do this laying on your chest. There's a lot of ways to do this, but I want to hit the butt to start here. So it's very simple. You hold down dog. That's going to be weight bearing on your arms. We're not doing too much today, yogis. So you weight bear on your arms, down dog, right leg lifts. You can open the hip if you need to reduce restriction to start, half scorpion. But the exercise, yogi, is to drop the right hip down, keep the right leg lifted, point the right toe, and then you kind of swing, pulse the leg up to the sky. You can bring it down a little bit, like halfway, up, a little bit down, up. You can pulse it, or you can kind of do a big swing up. But we're basically just lifting the right leg and keep pulsing it higher so where the right glute really turns on. All right. I like to say point the toe, yogis, because back line is hamstring, butt, calf. They're all connected. And if you point the toe, it's the bottom of the foot. So it's just a more compound form of this exercise. If you flex the foot, it's like an antagonist action. It's good to do. It just might not, activate as well, maybe on a lot of people. Maybe the reason it's hard to lift your leg is because you always flex the foot. This is the point. All right. Now we're just going to do the second side. We're going to try to stay on the arms. If you need a rest, good job. Be kind to your body too as you work it. Left leg lifts, and you can stretch it for a moment. Looks like somebody's already ahead of me, and that's cool. Just lift that left leg. My left leg is a little bit more difficult to activate. I'd have to give a little bit more focus and determination on that side. The three-legged dog lift, getting a lot of stuff done here. Looks like everyone's still going that I can see. It's an underrated, simple exercise, just that single leg hip extension. Really good stuff, okay? Take it down to the knees for a moment if you need. I want to just get the arms done now, yogis. I mean, we are going to do more arms, but it's kind of like a sequence, right? A circuit. We're doing some upper body stuff. You did some chaturangas, you did a down dog hold. All right, now let's go down to the forearm plank. Remember, holding a plank, really good for the obliques. All right, so this is the outer two middle layers of the core. All right, down to the forearms. If you're up for it, forearm plank. Now we're gonna do a little forearm sequence here. We're gonna go a little strong now. Turn your right forearm in, drop your heels to the right, side plank on the right forearm. You can always drop to your knees. Remember, we do that a lot of days in here. Let's get our side plank on, can't beat it. Glute medius, obliques, shoulder. If you're feeling good, you could lift your top leg a little bit. I like to turn the forearm in a little bit so it's not such a hyperlateral rotation, okay? It's like more like instead of being here, you're kind of like here. Maybe it's different for your shoulder. All right, do your second side, please. I'm just kind of letting you work at your own pace. Some days I can hold side plank minutes. Some days it hurts after like seconds. So honor that, guys. I'm gonna see if I can show you something here. Keep going, yogi. Stay focused and breathe. It's just like what we did through standing. I try to always express this idea of 3 planes of movement where each the body moves side to side, forward and backward, up and down, and rotational, like twisting. And you kind of train it. That's how we're like breaking this down now. All right. It's a good way to further progress muscle firing, right? So if we go from side body and a twist, so take a little break. So we'll go to now a rotational plank. I think I saw one or two of you is already doing this. As long as you're doing some plank work, some days it's good to do simple forms. Just go back on your forearms. Last part here, last part, okay? Feet hips width distance. Try to keep both forearms down. Drop your heels to the right. You guys know this stuff. That's why I'm not demoing. I'd rather have you stay focused in your body here. So your outer edge of your right foot, inner edge of your left foot's down. Both forearms are down. It's the twisting plank. Your lower body went to side plank, but your upper body's in regular form. Second side if you haven't. Core work, right? The idea is to activate your legs, and this, the weight is heaviest kind of right around the middle hips. It's the stabilization from your upper body through the core to your lower body. Planks are great, we do have to try to hold them, often if we're doing full body training. And I want you to take a little breather, yogis, and I try to like educate you guys on this. In this little post, I'm going to try to show you why everyone, it's kind of blurry, why everyone squats different, it says, right? And it's showing a picture of your pelvis. Everyone's pelvis is formed very different. It's the same in your shoulder scapular area. Why everyone squats different? It's a picture of your femur, the big leg bone. Everything can be different. The neck, the greater trochanter, the angle, the size, the head of the femur, the angle. This is showing, again, more detail, more pelvic details. Even side to side looks very different. This is from a doctor of physical therapy, I follow on Instagram. And a lot of the information I get from all these doctors I follow. So I want you to remember that, like alignment is very subjective. I know that the yogis try to fit you into a little alignment box. You wouldn't believe how that whole post that you could scroll, it has really zoomed in real bones and pictures of different bones. you don't kind of squeeze yourself into a little, yoga box because I teach it this way or my neighbor does. Some of you are never going to squat as deep as me. It's bone formation, right? Just be aware of that. It's not better. I always try to say that, jamming into ranges. So listen, let's take it down to the chest. Let's get our back going here. So just a little information to remind you guys, it's going to look different person to person. And again, it might not be good for you to try to jam into like a certain thing that I can do or you've seen others do. All right. Now I want to get that back going. A little extra, arms behind your back. How about we do this just because you did so much on those arms? Try to run those down dog hold and 2 types of planks. Okay. Here we go. Lifting up. Rolling the shoulders back. If you feel good, I like to do a few without my legs. Okay, and then I'll add the legs in a few rounds as well. Trying to point the toe and lift. And then you kind of release down. And then you lift up. Try to base it more off the moment. Sometimes I go up and down, sometimes I hold, sometimes it's a combo. If you notice a pattern that you always do it, try to get outside of that a little bit. If your body's up for it. On good days, you kind of challenge the body more, right? Looks good, everyone, that I can see. Now, maybe the arms, it's not feeling great today, but you want to counter the arms in front. Arms like this is good because it'll be back. We were kind of in here more, but this is a good one, having your arms to the T. That's going to be like a back fly, really kind of good. And I don't like the word tone. Muscles don't really tone, right? That's kind of a weird word, but it will activate muscles well because you can get into end range in a full kind of compound way. Bringing those arms wide, bringing them back as you do this, it's going to really get your back muscles, which is a reciprocal inhibition for the front. Even just bringing your arms like airplane wings kind of down by your side and lifting them will be a nice variation. Let me give you about another, 30 seconds. Get into this, yogis. This is kind of, we did that 3-legged dog work. Warrior 3 was that really big first leg lift up and back. Down dog leg lifts was second. This is like third, and it's like the hyper hinge, right? So we were bending over, squeezing our butt at the top. We did it in squatting too. This is that like hyper side that it's hard to do standing. When we do this standing, we tend to like dump weight and we back bend a lot. This is going to be more muscular. So remember, I do want to try to, I'm moving through class today in a way where sometimes we don't like stretch at all in this class. And I want to make sure we do that a little bit because I know a couple of you come to this class, you don't make Sundays or, Thursdays. So we will get a little extra stretching in today. So nice job there. That's the lower back, upper back, hitting through the legs. You might want a quick child pose after that. If you want a tricep stretch, you could kind of bend your arms in child pose so the hands meet the neck kind of behind the upper back. If you need a little extra stretch anywhere else, that's cool. A lot of intensity just now, right? A lot of activation. And then we're going to basically, go into the abs. So you'll make your way up and swing your legs around. I'm going to give some options. You could, I'm thinking like right forward and back now. You just did back, and now you kind of like counter maybe. You did some twists and side step in the planks. So just kind of coming back to that front body. We could do fancy stuff. We could do eagle crunches. We could do like happy baby crunches, but it's just not as good, really. It's getting fancy. These fundamentals so good. Either doing like a nice long sit up, right? Or doing just a nice slow
crunch, something like this, right? Hold, slowly lower down. Lift, hold, slowly lower down, right? I've done 2, my abs are already feeling the tension, right? So a nice basic, if you want a little extra, you can put a block between your thighs or hover your feet a little bit. We are gonna give the opportunity for leg swing though. I mean, again, I have this list of so many core exercises and I look through it usually on Monday nights, Tuesday morning, and I'm like, oh, fancy stuff, but doing these basics, you will get a super strong core and it just hits the abdominals so well. Okay, there's a lot of asymmetricals too, right? Arms can reach back and forward. I'm going to do something like that in a few moments, but don't be shy. If you're having a really good day, we're just doing our abs core stuff. You can do really anything, okay? Now, I'm going to kind of keep going right from there. There's 2 options. I'm thinking like shift to the side a little bit. So if I was upright, this is a tough one, yogis. We don't do it in this one much. It's very athletic in nature. I'm in boat. Look, this is boat, but I roll my left hand down. I roll a little to the side. I'm on my kind of side back. I am not all the way. My left arm is assisting. Arm reaches back. Pull the knees in, hand toward foot. In the side abdominals, I squeeze the knees in. Okay, this is very athletic core. I do want to offer you that some days. Now, say you can't do that, it's a little too much. This is a really nice one, yogis. It combines the flexion with the lateral, just like the last one. We haven't done this one in a while. You lift the chest and you kind of tap your left hand, left ankle, foot, center, right, tap, 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 tap. It's a really nice trainer. So just in case you couldn't see, I was kind of in a crunch, tap, tap, adding this side flexion, lateral flexion, right? Last few, again, a little. Tuesdays is that day where we really go a little, I'll give you the chance to go overboard on the core, right? Throughout the week, we might do like one exercise that's really core isolating like these. Each class you do a little bit, but today's the big day. If you're not feeling it, that's okay. Dead bug is a safe one. You keep your lower back flat. Crunching tends to be a little bit more athletic, but if you want to hit the core, maybe crunching hurts your back because you don't do it ever. Maybe if you train your body to do it, it won't hurt anymore. All right. Now, when you're done there, I want to go back to like the front. So as a core sequence, they're all in the same area. Legs are going to come up. We'll all lay on our back. And you're going to slowly hinge. It's either you bend your knees, reach them forward in space, pause, keep your lower back down, pull your knees in, or legs go up like an L, your upper body, and your legs go forward. And then as you come up, you do pop your pelvis a little bit. Just classic, all right? I usually do this when I train my abs every time, except I do it on a declined form, right? So my upper body will be like this. I have to like go on a bench or something. It just adds way more tension, right? Or what's another way people do it? They hang from a bar, they put their upper body in like a dip or elbows in like these big kind of straps, and they'll swing their legs down and then up, leg lifts, right? Last few. It's a tough moment now, yogis. You did some sit-up type crunches. Now you're doing some leg swings. Come on now. Remember your goals here. It's the end of these reps. How do you remind yourself of your goals? When your body starts to fatigue, to push a little bit more in the end. You have to remind yourself that that's when you're, getting stronger. It's not really the first few reps, right? It's the end.
All right, and then you take a little break when you're done there. Now, this is our last transverse abdominal trainer. It's too good. We kind of really should be doing this one probably every week in a yoga core class. It's basically twisting chair done here on your back. So ideally you would put a block between your thighs, or, you know, some people do it with like a band around their thighs. It's a little bit more technical, but it's the second round of leg swing, but you're going laterally. So, which create a rotation. Legs up, knees over hips, arms head down, knees go to the left, pause. I think everyone knows it. We've done it 1,000 times, right? So you're here, guys, just in case. Remember, like I said, everyone's body's different. Don't try to go all the way. Go over and try to pause. Roll your right ribs down when your knees go to the left. If you want a lot more, legs go straight, right? Block between the legs. Remember, you know, things like lunge twisting, the core plank was like, you know, this is our third kind of round. Remember, we stepped back into that lunge twist, and then we did it in plank where you drop the heels to the side. And then this is that kind of big weighted dynamic. So the first one was a little bit more warm up. There was no weight. The second one was static. And the third one is that dynamic, maybe with a pause. Instead of doing those kind of one exercise, it's the same thing basically done in 3 ways, right? So nice job there, guys. When you're done, I got one more. It's the lateral hip. So this is an isolated exercise, and it's core. Remember, we want to really hit this core. We did it 1 round of side plank. Now this is kind of like the second round, but in a dynamic form, really hit glute medius. Glute medius is under trained. So you switch it up. We come now into our left side body. When you're done, you were just squeezing a block, right? Legs were symmetrical. Now you're going to A-B duct. So left leg lifts. I flex the foot. My left leg's not going forward. Look at this. I lift up. I go about halfway down. I pulse maybe. All right? Come on now. Let's get that outer glute. I mean, if you want to get even more like technical, you could bring your front foot in front of you, rotate like down a little bit. So that means turn the right toes down and lift. Also, and then you can go, you have to roll to your back. You don't want to roll to your back. You want to stay toward the chest. You go back behind you with the right leg more. Turn your toes up a little bit and then lift. That's super glute one right there. Does everyone get it? There's kind of 3 parts. I started you in neutral. We're going to do this and then glute maximus, and you're pretty much done with core training because I want you to stretch today a little bit extra. So you're here and you lift here. If you want the 3 parts, the little bit easier one is to go forward, turn your toe down, and then lift. It's like super frontal here, like right there. But if you want that outer back glute, you bring the leg behind you. Now don't roll onto your back. Try to stay toward the front chest a little bit. Your right toes turn up more, and you lift the leg like up and back. Up and back. Should burn, right? If you need a visual, I like to give you those visuals, right? This was the first one. This was the second one. This was the third one. Okay? But but you're down, so you're using gravity to resist you. All right, let's do that second side. When you're ready, no rush. Does everyone feel the difference in those a little bit? Remember, it's just, subtle things, and it takes time to feel them and understand them. You're not going to do it perfect when you first learn it. You got to slow down, close your eyes, feel it. Okay. So first, it's just a lateral leg lift. Remember, we don't want to turn the toes up or down there. You do that intentionally with the leg forward or back. And then if you bring your foot and leg in front of you a little bit and turn your toes down, and then lift the leg up a little bit in front of you, that's a little different because you're adding a rotation and a flexion. Try to stay on your side though, yogis. And remember, don't curl into a little ball here. This is the hip training. Now the third part is where the leg goes behind you and the toes turn kind of up. So it's an external rotation and extension. Those actions go together, right? TFL is a hip flexor, medial rotator. Glute max is an external rotator and extensor. I'm not getting too technical about the pelvic tilts because it's already a lot, okay? But there is pelvic tilt awareness involved here too, right? If we're training glutes, it's usually posterior pelvic tilt. Yeah, so up and back, Brian, up and back. Yeah, it's a tough one, move your leg like that. It's already like in this kind of like weird place. So, you're going to finish up there, no rush. And I do want to give you a little extra time for our, glutes, these glutes. There's whole classes at fitness centers, glute lab and, glutes and abs, we really need to, you go to these like CrossFit gyms, they have whole nights just focused on glutes, right? And it's rightfully so. They require a lot of focus and, you just special time in class for them. And that's kind of the start in there. Let's get going now. Here we go. So if you want to go easy, bridge, one-legged bridge, I'd like you to try to get like 3 to 4 rounds. I'm going to kind of guide you through here, but if you need a warm-up round, it's just regular bridges, heels underneath your knees. If you ever had bands, I've actually, to consider getting those. They're $5 or $10. Target has them. Amazon, obviously, and Dick's Sporting Goods, and they're just little rubber bands that go around your thighs, and they create more glute firing here. Block between my thighs is not like my favorite, and I don't really teach it that much because it's an antagonist action. It's front line, inner line, and we're doing outer posterior line now. So, block between the thighs, maybe. So here we go. You're going to just lift up and hold, maybe pulse, go up and down a few times like a strong thrust, or hold. If you're feeling good, you just go straight to one leg. We're very warmed up. We've done locust, we've done 3-legged dog lifts, we've done squats, we've done a lunge and the hinges. You're ready. No waiting if you're feeling ready here. If you're feeling better though, I want you to come up on up table and do it, right? So bridge might be your warm up. But if you're doing good today, you would come up to seated, put your hands behind you, and maybe do your up table one-legged thrust. That is going to be basically the peak glute that most of us can do, right? It's weighted, it's very full range. It's the bent knee thrust. Nice, Brian. Try to press with that big toe a little bit. Don't let that toe lift too much. Everyone else looks good that I can see. One-legged bridge is adequate though. It's a good one. Don't feel bad if you can only do that. It's good. You're going to hit your glute well. If you're doing it, just pull the bellies in a little bit, elongate the core. Try to pull. Remember, I'm not doing an isolated hamstring stretch. We did hinges. We're doing hip thrusts. So that's both parts there. Just try to pull the heel toward the hands or the shoulder a little bit more to include your hamstring. All right. Let's get this going now. Focus. You're here to do core. This is a moment you want to kind of dig deep and push it a little bit, okay? Easiest would be to do 3 to 4 rounds of regular bridge. If you want to add angled bridge, that's a fun one. We do the walking bridges, the hamstring, the sliding bridges. Upward facing plank is another great one, but it is straight leg, and we already did that a lot. If we bend the knee here and push behind us, it tends to hit the glute better on most people. Come on now, let's keep it going. I got 9:48 almost on the clock, yogis. I can give you like 2 minutes more here, all right? Come on, you don't want that butt getting weak. And here's your opportunity. You're nice and warmed up. This is it. You get to stretch and rest after this, so you can go, come on, work that weaker side more. Remember, we have 4 quadrants of the glutes: upper, outer, lower, inner. So like a box, a diamond. Try to notice if you go really, a lot of people tend to hit the upper and outer glute. It's kind of like your traps. They always lift up and forward. There's like a pattern. And what do we teach you? Like back and down more, those two opposites. It's the same. It's like in and down in the glutes. It's up and out in the glutes. It's down and in the glutes. We're working to hit a little bit better. You got to press the big toe down more. That helps. And you kind of feel it. You lift from like the inner glute. Some days I just kind of go up and down. I thrust. Some days I go up, pause, slowly down, up, pause, slowly down. Sometimes I go up and hold. Sometimes I go up and pulse. There's a lot of ways to do them, yogis. Sometimes I go like halfway down only and back up. I call that like the mid-range burnout. All right, you got about 1 more minute or so. You're welcome to go longer if you want. But I'm going to move forward after this. You know, can bridge, just doing bridge regularly, be adequate for strengthening like the middle, lower back body? It can, if you do it like really regularly and you have a lot of body awareness. Going to one leg will make a big difference. But you know, really, the bridge can be done in a way where your back body is going to be kind of strong enough for a modern lifestyle, right? So you don't have to get fancy. It just depends if you want hypertrophy, if you want your muscles to get bigger, if you want that really a lot of strength in your body. You do kind of have to go on one leg if we're doing body weight exercise. All right. Somebody has seen, I have a hip thrust machine like right in my house. You know, it's the only piece of like big workout equipment that I own. All right, so it looks like everyone I can see is done. Nice job. We have entered last 10 minutes of class. Let's start stretching, yogis. So I'm just going to sit you up now. After I do hip thrust, I like to do the straddle because it's hamstring, it's straight leg, and it's forward bend, right? So you kind of just stretch what's tightened up a lot. So I'm going to open you up here. You guys know this one, the straddle. It's one of my favorite stretches if I had to pick a few. Get the legs open. You know, we didn't do much of this, like even standing, right? Straddles. So let's get that going here. Sit up nice and tall, forward fold. If you feel like you want to walk your hands over to a side or even side bend, we got about another minute, minute and a half here. Couple deep breaths, pulling the chest forward, maybe lengthening through your heels. Unless you're doing your own variation. So
I'm kind of using this, yogis, just so we see it in context as a back body and an inner thigh body, inner body stretch, right? So call it most medial body. So I'm not going to do like butterfly or frog, all right, because we're doing this instead. You will get one more kind of back body stretching. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now the front body stretch, just like a vinyasa would do. Now you could lay down on your chest and do like, I'm gonna do Virasana, but if you want to do something like this, they're like in the same category where I lay on my chest. Now I bend the knee, right? I just have the legs very straight. I often say these two are like opposites. So I'll do the Vira, you were just with your legs wide, now you bring your thighs together. Your legs were just straight, now you bend them. Your feet were flexed, now you point them. You were going forward, now you go back. Your legs were laterally rotated, now they're medial. Those are all different. Your spine was rounded, now you back bend it. It's a really good kind of pair of stretching here. Biggest front body stretch, we needed. Our back bends were very active today, not stretching. With practice, you start to go back. My back will arch here, yogis. The further you go back too, it's like your forearms come down. You can almost feel like a very big shoulder and chest stretch here. Whether you're on your chest doing it or you're in the seated form going back, you're still going to get that shoulder stretch. Okay, because the arm goes behind you. If you're doing something on one side, make sure you switch it up. Last few breaths. You know, we didn't do like full range squatting. I did give you a little child pose, but it's a good moment to kind of bend those knees deep too. Now I showed you that bones can be limiting in your range. Is there evidence that you can reconstruct your bones at like any age? Yes, it is any age. That is shown now. They show people in their 90s building new bone now, right? It's not like we can't build bone. It's that the process of building bone, it basically goes dormant. And a lot of people, I mean, imagine you sit on the couch for like 20 years, for 30, 40 years straight, you know, and of course your body's not going to be building bone ever. You lose that function, basically, loss of function, just like we lose function of everything, right? So let's keep going, guys. I was thinking a little pigeon. We did a lot of like core, right? So this would be our outer body stretch. So we did straddle was inner and back. This is now outer, right? We just did front. This is the lateral rotation. You just did the medial. So these all together go well. I'm going to do this and a seated spinal twist or a laying twist, and then you'll be done. Okay. So big stretch here. Right shin eventually forward. Third big stretch of our four here. And since it's we already did the back bend, you can go forward today, rolling your left hip toward that right heel. So I'm on the top of my back foot. If you want a little extra down here, yogis, it's a nice one. I thread the needle. I kind of walk my right arm forward. I reach my left arm underneath my right armpit. It's a big one. You get the shoulder as well. Left hip kind of rolls toward right heel, and then I breathe. And you're gonna switch up sides when you feel good about it. I don't know if you heard, my puppy was just having a dream over here. She was barking in her sleep.
Right now you want to finish up your pigeon. That's going to be outer body and second back body stretch. There is some front body there too, depending on how you're doing it, right? So when you're done, no rush. I'm just letting you know, I do want to get you one stretchy twist. We did a thing on our back, right, where the knees were going side to side. So that is like a reclining spinal twist. We did one in the lunge form and the plank form, maybe a seated one, just because we kind of weren't in that realm today. You go to some yoga classes and they do like a few styles very rigid, and that's like their focus. And then they'll have this some days where it's like one round of as many postures as possible, right? You go to like Dharma, it's like 2 hours. You're doing like one round of like every yoga pose. And then you go to Iyengar and they'll do like one pose for an entire hour or two, right? There's a little mix today. We did more towards Dharma. I trained under Dharma, so I tend to lean that way. And they're like the strongest practitioners out of anyone. I like that neuromuscular approach, more kind of for the brain, more puzzles and challenges, complexities on this complex body. Because that's how you work in life. The body's all moving in all these ways all day long. All right, so we're doing our final twist. If you'd like, you sit up, you can cross a knee. Basic is just kind of crossing your shins and turning, or, one leg straight, foot outside the knee, twisting across that knee. That would be the deepest twist of class here. If you want to do a block supported posture, happy baby, plow, those are awesome here in the end as well. We are here at the end, yogis, so you got time for about one more pose if you want to do it, and I'll guide you into your meditation. So you're finishing up your physical practice so you can seal it all in. Well, it's called like the download, right? That when you rest, right? I learned this in neuroscience. 99.6% of neurogenesis happens in sleep and rest. And that's key, right? It's when the memories are, when new neural synapses. When you learn, anytime you learn something new, you build a new neural synapse, right? It happens very quickly. They can watch it under microscopes where neurons connect. Anytime you learn something new, you basically rejuvenate the brain. But when is it reinforced? It's in REM sleep. REM sleep. That's not the deepest sleep, by the way. That's like theta brain, basically, right? It's and that the point is when you go into a deep shavasana, you go into theta brain. You don't go delta. Delta is when your brain cleanses more and you break down old synapses you don't need, like old street names that you can't remember where you used to live or something. You don't need that anymore. You used to need to know it, but now you don't. That gets broken down in deep sleep to cleanse protein waste of the brain. But shavasana, sometimes you go into this like euphoric alpha first, you feel like really good. And then you start to have like these visions, right? Where you're somewhere else and your imagination, kids live in theta brain, right? It's where you're like really building your brain, right? Kids live in theta. It's like the downloading phase. They're just like looking at adults and they're downloading it. Boom. So when we go into theta here, you're downloading what you just did. You're reinforcing the neurons, neuromuscularly and information. All right. Really important. So you want to get comfortable. That's very key. Right? Kids are excellent at imagination. They can do it anytime, but we need to kind of maybe set up to do it, right? So you get comfortable, you take a couple of breaths, you set that intention. I'm going to be still and let go here. And yogis, I'd like you to try to stay here as long as you can, please. All right. The deeper you can go, the better. You start to feel little twitches in the body. That's good stuff. All right. Let go, yogis. Go into a trance.